Hey everyone, welcome back. On this episode, we're going to dive into our EZ GO TXT and replace that rusty and corroded battery tray. And we're also going to do a lithium battery swap from BigBattery.com. I'm Jeff. You're watching Kart Crazy. All right, well, here it is. Not much has changed if you follow the channel since the last time. It's been sitting over at the warehouse. We did get it diagnosed and running. It was a non-running cart. If you haven't watched that, you might want to go back in the playlist and check that out. But today's objective is get this rusty battery tray swapped out. Ray and our friends over at Kemimoto sent over a nice replacement battery tray. So I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to get that done without having to remove the body, which will save you a ton of time. And then the other thing I wanted to get done is I've had this battery laying around the shop for almost 2 years. I actually bought it for another project and ended up not using it. It was a friend's cart, and that's a long story. But it's sitting here. It's a 36 volt, which is what this cart is. We might as well get that thing bolted in there, and at least we can run the cart around the neighborhood a little bit. Like I said, we did get it running and driving, but I think I did one trip around the block, and then we just put it back at the warehouse. So I'd like to get it going, and I know there's some noise in the rear differential. I need to diagnose that and some other things. So those are the two things I'd like to accomplish today. So the first order of business is let's just get this box open and see what we've got. Like I said, it's from Kemimoto, so probably a little bit of assembly required here, but it shouldn't be too bad. So this is going to be the aluminum replacement. So no more corrosion to deal with. And of course, being that we're switching this to lithium, we don't have to worry about that anyway. But it's going to be a nice addition to this cart. And we'll get it assembled here and show you what it's going to take to get the old one out. All right, I've got this just kind of laid out here. Being that I've never done one of these before and I'm not really reading the directions, I'm just kind of looking at the pictures. So I think what I'm going to want to do is get the old one out and then may do some assembly on the table and some assembly in the cart rather than try to put the whole thing together, because I see it's got these additional brackets here, which is really cool. That's going to give us a little extra support. It looks like it probably uses these existing holes in each side of the frame, so that's really cool. And what we'll do is we'll tear into getting this bad boy out, and you'll notice there's a Torx head bolt. Probably hard to see. Should get the light down in there, right there behind that cable. And there's one on each side, and you can see it. It kind of goes right in the middle of the body here. So rather than have to pull the whole rear body assembly off, I think we're just going to drill a couple of these rivets out and probably push this back out of our way or push it forward so we can get at it from the back side. I'm going to go ahead and take all of our old charging wires out because we're not going to use any of those, of course, once our lithium set up. So I'll probably come in there with the snips and get rid of some of those. And then the other ones you got to get out are right here, but unfortunately it goes up and over through your seat bracket. So it's probably going to be just as easy just to pull your seat brackets out. It looks like there's 4 bolts. And then you can get this plastic cover out of the way too, so we can just lift that whole assembly right out of there. All right, let me show you where we're at. I went ahead and pulled these out. I pulled the one for the seat, pulled this plastic cover off of here, 5 or 6 little screws, just give me a little more room. But I'm going to try to cheat here and not pull this whole back seat off and just try to maybe get a pry bar in there and slide those out. Not that it's a ton of extra work, but I'm just trying to give you an idea how to do this easily without aggravating yourself too much. So I'm going to do that, and let me jump around to the other side. So with those out in the back, then we've got these two here. Now that one's pretty rusty, and then we're going to deal with those Torx bolts right there and one little brake line, and we should be just about free. Oh, I still didn't get my cables out of the way. I got to do that. But I use anything real rusty like that. I use these special they're called FDX sockets from Snap-on. They're really awesome when you're dealing with rust and corrosion, where these will get on there and just bite and not let go. They're not going to strip or spin, so they work really good for that. But let me buzz the rest of these two off, and then we'll start working on those torques. I'm also using a wobble extension. That'll give my socket a little movement on the end, because we are in kind of a funny angle here. Bada bing, just like that. Finally got those wires out of the way. I said I was going to do that 10 minutes ago. Oh, I keep forgetting there's one in the front that goes forward too. I always forget about that one. I'm hoping by drilling these two rivets out, boy, that sounds like a dull drill bit. Let's try that again. Now, of course, on this cart, I'm going to be replacing the floor mat, so you probably don't want to slice your floor mat in half like I did, but you would just have to take the screws out of the kick plate and lift it up out of your way. Now I'm hoping that gave us enough clearance to get in there and get that Torx head bolt out. I'm trying to remember, I think it's a T40 or a T45. Now on these, you don't really want to go in all caveman like I did with the other ones, because these Torx will strip out a lot easier than a bolt. So you want to go in with a hand ratchet and try to crack it loose first, and then you can use your cordless powered tool on it if you want at that point. I don't have as good a bite as I would like, but thankfully they're not that tight. So that one's loose. Let me jump over to the other side and repeat the process. Get a long extension in there. Oh yeah. Now, these are coming out way easier than some of them I've seen. I've literally had to grind the heads off of some of them because they're so rusty. So just be aware that it might not go that easy. All right, you can kind of see where we're at. Some rust on the floor here. I wanted to free up that brake cable, and got the sides loose there. And because I'm not reusing this, I think I can just bend these back brackets forward and out of the way. I do have one more rivet I've either have to drill or grind off. But once we do that, we can pull this old framework out of here, and it should be pretty easy to drop the new aluminum one in. So let me see if I can caveman this thing out of here. All right, well, got the old one tore off and out of there, so not too bad. Of course, a lot of rust and debris on the floor, which is to be expected. But we'll see if we can maybe kind of layer this aluminum one back in there, because obviously I don't want to be bending that trying to get it in. So I'm thankful that it's still apart, I guess. Got our two brackets on there. I think I'm just going to assemble the outer square to start with. And we can always add that center section in last. Probably going to be advantageous to leave everything loose. That way this can kind of twist and bend a little bit. All right, I've got it just loosely assembled here. See if we can drop it into the cart. Probably not going to work out the way I want. Well, maybe. It's close. All right. Mistakes were made, okay? I had to shut the camera off. I was getting frustrated. This thing was fighting me like a grizzly bear for the last banana cream cookie out of the cooler at the campsite at Yellowstone. It was just a bugger. And it's because I didn't read the directions and I was going about it all wrong, so it's completely my fault, and I take full responsibility for that. So that is a chunk of my skin because I was doing it wrong and tore my elbow open, but I won't show you that. Anyway, don't do it like I did. Maybe look at the directions, put these in first, and then kind of assemble it in here, because I was fighting and twisting and turning, and it just wasn't working out. So piece by piece, I thought, oh, put it together on the bench and drop it in there. No, not at all. So got the back pieces in. Everything's in there loose because I still got to put more bolts in. I've got to put the original bolt right there, which you probably can't see because I don't have the light shining on it, which would be like one of these guys, I believe. And then we can reassemble and tighten the framework and everything down. But after I took a deep breath and actually looked a little more in detail at the pictures and put my readers on so I could see the fine print, we've got it in there and it's going together. All right, got everything set in place, and don't have anything tightened up yet. Everything's just kind of loose. Go through, tighten everything down. One thing I wanted to point out is it has these awesome kind of like reinforcement brackets that are supposed to go right there, but they're too long. So might be a little bit different model year or something. But I'm not too worried about it because the battery that we're using is actually super light. If you were, putting traditional lead acid batteries in, maybe just double check, see if there's different applications. I thought they were all the same, but might be just a hair different. So not going to worry too much about that. I could drill new holes and use those, but like I said, with the lightweight lithium, we don't have to worry about that too much. So let me get everything tightened down, and then we'll drop this lithium in there. All right, got everything tightened down and looking good for the most part. And probably a few things I got to button up, like this cable. I'll have to put a zip tie on that probably. But right now I want to drop that lithium in there and show you just how easy it is to hook that up. So give me a second and I'll wrestle that in there. Now, because we're using a single battery unit, that would definitely be easier with two people. So I highly recommend that. I'm thinking what I might do is try to get it to sit down in the one battery tray, and then on the metal on the other side, I think it's just about right. We just got to remove the charger port, which is in our way. Quick work with the Sawzall, and that's out of the way. Let's see if this will slide over and sit in there like I'm thinking. Sure enough. Perfect. Wow, is that a good fit? There. So what I was able to do is trim our old charger port off, and the battery actually sits, it's really hard to see, but there's two little feet on this side. It's sitting in the original battery hold down, and then on the other side it's just resting on that metal platform. So it actually sits in there pretty good. I'm happy with that. Didn't really have to do any modifications. The only thing I'll have to come up with is some kind of bracketry or something just so it doesn't slide around in there. But yeah, that's pretty awesome right there. Now, as far as hookups go, this is going to plug right into our big battery. And then we're going to take our negative right to our original negative port on the controller. And then our positive is going to go right from where the original positive went on the solenoid. Plug that in, literally flip the switch, and this card will be ready to go. As far as charging, there's two ways to do it. You can just unplug the Anderson port right there and plug your battery charger in to charge the battery, or you can do a stud system like I've done on previous videos. Not going to go into that on this video. I'm trying to do this as simple as possible so you can do this at home and not get confused on wiring. This is super easy. Virtually anyone can do this. So let's get these wired in, flip our switch, and we'll be ready to roll. All right, and that is it. You can see we've got our negative on here. We've got our positive from our battery there. We can literally flip the switch. Now, this is a 36-volt cart. You're going to say, well, that's got 42. Well, yeah, a fully charged pack is about 42, 43 volts. So that's normal. I didn't talk about this, the rivets that I drilled out. I actually left those for now because I'm not sure where I'm going with this cart. And I did not come up with a mounting system because I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible. So if you're doing this at home, unlimited resources, just get a ratchet strap. Wrap it all the way around tighten it down. I've seen guys do that. I don't recommend bungee cords because it's still going to slide around with that. But as long as you're not drilling brackets into this metal case or anything, you should be fine. And this will, for the most part, sit there until you go around a corner too fast, and then it's going to slide that way about 2 or 3 inches. But again, super simple for the basic do-it-yourselfer. There's other ways, like I said, to mount this charger up, but this is what we're going to go with for today. Let's go to forward. Boom. We have movement. So there you go. Well, there you go. We've got this thing back together. We've got our new battery tray in there. We've got our bigbattery.com drop down in there. Battery, make sure you go over to bigbattery.com if you're looking for a lithium setup for your cart. Use my promo code STEGGY10. Save yourself 10% at checkout on your battery, which is awesome. In today's economy, save money everywhere you can. So check them out. If you got any questions, feel free to comment below or reach out to me via email. It's somewhere, I think it's in the description of the channel or something. It's jeffsteggy@yahoo.com. Poke around there. You'll find it somewhere, I'm sure. What's next for this guy? I don't know. It's literally probably one of the only carts that I should probably be working on. I've got some other projects. We've got that four-wheel drive cart that I haven't touched, and I've got an old Club Car DS, but this is technically a running and driving cart now, so I'd like to maybe get some parts ordered and do some things on this. So not sure where we're going with it yet, but we're going to find out real soon. Thanks for coming along. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you like what you saw. That helps me a ton. We'll see you next time on Kart Crazy.